Quiero darles la bienvenida a la 18ª reunión de las agrupaciones de Centros de Información de CLADEA. Hablaremos de las brechas y la trascendencia de la información para la toma de decisiones y tendremos el honor de tener representantes de la CAF, del BIT y del Ministerio de Ciencias y Tecnología de Colombia. Y quiero darle el pase a Cecilia Alegre, la coordinadora de las agrupaciones de Centros de Información. Cecilia, bienvenida.
Gracias, Manuel. Bienvenidos a la 18ª reunión de la Agrupación de Centros de Información de CLADEA. Quiero agradecer a todo el equipo de CLADEA en la organización y apoyo en la difusión de nuestra reunión. En esta oportunidad vamos a contar con los representantes de las agrupaciones de África, Asia-Pacífico, Europa, Estados Unidos y de América Latina. Asimismo, agradecer a mis colegas Liliana Luqui de la Universidad Austral de Argentina, a Gisela Díaz del CESA de Colombia y Miriam Pirela del IESA de Venezuela. Sin más preámbulo, los invito a disfrutar de nuestra reunión. Gracias.
La contingencia sanitaria nos ha llevado nuevamente a que gran parte de nuestras actividades, eventos y congresos los debamos seguir desarrollando en formato virtual. La movilidad internacional todavía presenta muchas dificultades, restricciones e incertidumbres. Esperamos que esta pandemia pase muy prontamente para que ojalá el próximo año podamos finalmente encontrarnos en forma presencial. Al menos en esta, la región latinoamericana, ya llevamos prácticamente 1 año y 8 meses reuniéndonos y viéndonos en pequeños recuadros a través de interminables horas frente a una pantalla. Lo positivo es que las diferentes plataformas nos han permitido continuar con nuestras labores. Es más, han facilitado que personas que estamos en diferentes partes del mundo nos podamos reunir en tiempo real sin la necesidad de viajar e incurrir, por ejemplo, en gastos de traslado. Creo que muchos de nosotros, incluso, ya le hemos tomado gran cariño a estas plataformas. Solamente hago una pregunta. ¿Se imaginan que esta pandemia nos hubiese encontrado sin estas plataformas virtuales? Me parece apropiado, al darles hoy una bienvenida, el que recordemos brevemente cómo nace esta agrupación o asociación de directores de centros de información de las instituciones miembros del Consejo Latinoamericano de Escuelas de Administración CLADEA. Esta asociación nace el año 2003 y su primer encuentro o congreso se desarrolló en Perú, en el marco de la 38ª Asamblea de CLADEA y que en ese entonces fue organizada conjuntamente por CLADEA y las escuelas de posgrado de la Universidad San Ignacio de Loyola y la Escuela de Administración de Negocios SESIÓN. En esa oportunidad se reunieron por primera vez los encargados de las escuelas de negocios con un claro propósito: proponer un foro de exposición permanente para que los directores de los diferentes centros pudiesen tratar temas de mutuo interés y compartir información. Hoy, adicionalmente, se busca estrechar lazos de cooperación, de trabajo colaborativo, en la resolución de problemas y desafíos comunes, y de promover el intercambio de información entre las instituciones miembros de CLADEA. Además, obviamente, de ofrecer capacitación y perfeccionamiento a sus integrantes en temas de gestión y dirección de bibliotecas.
Thank you all for joining us in this panel. As an introduction, I would like to say some words and then the floor is yours. As professionals, we are all aware of the increasing importance of information resources and management. And we all know that libraries, information centers, our daily work have been and still are key players in the development and sustainability of our business schools. We'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas on these topics. Rajan, the floor is yours.
My name is Rajan Manu, and I'm the head of learning and engagement at Singapore Management University Libraries. My presentation will cover an introduction to our university and our libraries. Then I will share some approaches we use to be key players in the development of our business school. SMU is a young university founded in 2000, as can be seen in these statistics on the slide. Our vision 2025 is to focus on digital transformation, sustainable living, and growth in Asia. We have 6 schools and different research areas. As you can see on this slide, the Lee Kong Chian School of Business focuses on organizational behavior and human resources, strategy and organization, finance, quantitative finance, operation management, marketing, and corporate communication. We also have 2 beautiful libraries that supports the business school. We have the Li Ka-shing Library that was opened in 2006, and more recently, the ellipse-shaped building called the Kwa Jok Chu Law Library that opened in 2017. Supporting this business school are 3 research librarians. We currently have a vacancy, and the research librarians are supported by my colleague, Venki, who is the lead for learning services and school partnerships. So the research librarians support the respective disciplines in the business school. Moving on, now let me share with you 10 ways in rapid fire how we are a key player to the business school, many of which you are already doing, so there's no surprises here. Let's begin. Number 1, we support the school in accreditation. SMU, Lee Kong Chian School of Business, is Triple Crown. And recently, we actually played an important role by providing the research output data from 2015 to 2020 as part of the re-accreditation for the school. Secondly, we also listen to faculty's pain points. Faculty talk about academic integrity and the challenges of plagiarism, especially in this copy and paste Google age and Google generation of students. The challenge of misinformation and the use of credible sources, citing and referencing woes. And we respond with library interventions such as developing e-learning courses, providing course-integrated instruction, focusing on digital literacy, and offering research consultations. So here you can see an image of the 3 learning activities that all freshmen have to complete. The third point is embedded librarianship. Go where they are. So in the pre-pandemic, we as business librarians were co-located in the faculty lounge in the school on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays between 2 to 5 p.m. This provided us with a lot of water cooler conversations to yield results such as DIY clinics in the use of the library system, talking about the courses, or just saying, hi, who are you? But the pandemic pivot to virtual services. So digital transformation moved our service models to a virtual one. And right now we offer a Ask Library real-time chat service where business librarians are on duty between 2 to 5 p.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And today, being Friday, I just finished my duty at 5 p.m. Moving on to number 4. We are part of the school and faculty's research ecosystem and workflow. The library has oversight of the institutional repository, the research data repository, the research publication module, and we also provide data or data support services and produce a monthly Research Radar newsletter. Using Web of Science, Scopus, SciVal, we provide citation metrics for faculty appraisals and also faculty promotion, where we collate the citation reports for them to include in their dossier. High five. We also offer advice and referrals. So we tap on our network of information providers and link faculty with vendors for data sets and other sources of information they may require. We also connect faculty with the publishers if they want to publish a book. We conduct tours for guests at the business school, and recently we also created a chatbot for copyright advisory. Moving on to number 6, we also are part of engagement and programming, and in this case we do school newsletters, two per year, and we also have a chapter in the school's yearbook where we contribute articles and stories about our highlights for the year. We facilitate book launches as well in the library during pre-pandemic times. Moving on to number 7, the research librarians also support the research centers and institutes associated with the business school, such as the Asia Private Equity Institute, the Institute of Innovation and Entrepreneurship, and also other listed ones, including the Mindfulness Initiative as well. Moving on to number 8, we ensure that the library strategic plan and the school strategies are aligned, and this is vice versa as well. So having access to the school strategies is very important when it comes to our work plans as well. Number 9, we focus on things beyond the curriculum, and we offer over 50 bite-sized workshops in the academic term 1 and term 2. And this focus on research skills, presentation and communication skills, digital literacy skills such as courses and workshops on R, Python, etc. So these library workshops are included in the co-curricular transcripts of the students, and this gives the students a competitive edge when they go to look for jobs and employment, when they indicate that they know how to use Bloomberg, they know how to do data analysis, etc., and visualizations using R and Tableau, etc. We also support the school for business case competition as well. And last but not least, we offer a buffet or buffet of digital resources and spaces. We have more than 170 databases, e-textbooks. We also advocate and promote open educational resources and process recommendations for interlibrary loans and document delivery. The library also offers a variety of spaces, including 24/7 learning common spaces as well. So I'd like to leave you with some parting thoughts on some strategies as well. So the pandemic may be a boon or a bane to some. For us at SMU, it actually was a boon and is a boon, and we're using it to actually as a catalyst for change. We also need to play and know where the players are. I would also like to ask you this question: build it, but will they come? Today, we invest a lot of monies on infrastructure, such as research repositories, institutional repositories, etc. It's important to also listen to faculty's pain points, because these are the conversation starters and they are hooks to actually get them engaged and interested in the library and what we can provide. The next question or thought is, how well do we understand faculty's research ecosystem and workflows? Are we in the workflow of faculty and students, especially today in the digital age? Digital is a game changer, and we need to embrace it. Who is the school? What is the information center in the digital world? Perhaps it warrants a revisit or a rethinking on these concepts. What happens if faculty forgets us? So let's not be forgotten. I would like to end my presentation with an African proverb. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Corey, would you like to share your ideas with us?
My name is Curation, and I'm going to repeat a fair amount of what Rajan said from SMU. I'm going to talk about providing clarity. I think that's one of the big roles that we can provide in business schools. So let me just move on. So right now there's a real focus on change, and libraries are being asked to respond and react to conditions that are less than ideal. And as we are sitting at the 18-month date from the beginning of the pandemic, at least in North America, we may never actually return to normal. And there's a great deal of emphasis and excitement about technology and what it can do. But I have two pictures here that are examples of where the technology is right now. It can't do everything. Both of these are panoramic pictures that were compiled with artificial intelligence from Google, but it created a six-legged dog. And then it actually took on the bottom my dog, and there's only two dogs actually in that picture, but it replicated the other dog 3 times or 4 times. So we are seeing a situation where technology is getting better, but it's not exactly there yet. And so change is something that we all need to embrace. And it's a dual-edged sword in the sense that the vibrant schools will demand more changes of the libraries and the campuses than the more stagnant ones. So my library is, I don't really have a good building to picture like SMU, so I have my cat in a box. We have 19 staff. We have 15 physical books. We used to have 150,000. In 2014, we became a digital-only library. That made the change during the pandemic very easy. When the school shut down for in-person, we were able to move very, very effortlessly. We have an annual materials budget of around $1.1 million and a total budget of $2.4 million. I'd like to talk a little bit about collections because I think it's very important. What we do, this is a vision I have of collections, and that when we bring things into our resources, to our library, it either has current use or future use. And it either can be a community need or a community aspirations. And if we think about it, libraries have really tried, especially with print, to buy books that are good for you, to buy books where they want people to move toward. But our students and our faculty want things that they need more immediately. And so this is a very, very delicate balance that we are trying to provide in the library. And when you only have digital resources, it's extremely difficult. Furthermore, since we're all business, we can actually look that the library challenge is unique to us that may be different for chemistry and may be different for philosophy and the humanities. Student and faculty needs have overlap, but they're fundamentally different. Faculty needs scholarly journals, articles, books, and data sets. Student needs articles, company and industry information, and market reports. Students are definitely doing more with data sets, but their projects are smaller in scope, and so they tend just to have that overlap area. The community, and we serve our alumni and other people at Michigan, tend to be more like the students, but also overlap with faculty. So Rajan talked about aligning the library to the community. That is very critical, and we do that with our collections. Insofar as our services are concerned, here's my cat again. As librarians, we try to figure out reference. We often think that there is one solution, like a Sudoku puzzle, but in many ways, there are many solutions, and that each of us have a particular school that we serve, and a particular school that has information needs. And in libraries, it's very common for people to replicate the services that they think they would like to have rather than the services that are needed. And I talk about reference and research, they're a voyage. And that's part of the experience. And so if the resources were all available very easily, then we wouldn't need to ask the question. This is another chart that I'm coming up that I've been thinking through. The blue line represents the needs for assistance. And the time scale here goes back 100 years. If we think about libraries in 1921, 100 years ago, there were closed stacks. You actually used a card catalog to find a book, and you work through the librarian. So the need for assistance was great. With the availability of better catalogs and more data available electronically, that has definitely increased, but the need for assistance has actually increased as well. And that's where the role that we provide of providing clarity. People can find data that shows everything, but what we can do is actually help them interpret the data and understand the value that different data has. And I'm very, very fond of dogs and cats and squirrels. Our reference work is driven by the appetite of our users. The biggest, Michael's gonna be talking about from Harvard's perspective, they're huge users of interlibrary loan, even though they have one of the largest libraries in the world. Same with Michigan. The scope of the research is such that we're always looking within our collection and beyond our collection for resources that they may use. For many of our users, there's not a great deal of information in our established classes or resources on their topic. So we need to think well beyond the walls of our resources, the walls of our libraries. And so reference support is still, I think, extremely important part of our community. Rejim was also talking about experiential learning. We do a great deal of support for action learning or experiential learning. And this is our biggest contribution. And this is why our library has grown. We need to teach students how to manage through ambiguity and complexity when they're dealing with a problem. I've got 3 teams right now. One is looking at premium chocolate. One is looking at premium chocolate market in the US. Another is looking at cold chain logistics in Puerto Rico. And a third is looking at automotive diagnostics. 3 very, very different things and 3 different markets. And so what the librarian does is we guide them through, we provide that clarity. And you can see that we used to have, when I first started, we were at about 100 teams. Now we're about 400. The drop in fiscal year 21 is for the lower enrollment at the school. And so we're expecting to be closer to FY19 or FY20. So our future is really tied to the needs of the school. And then it's not about charting your own course, it's about being a partner with the school. And when we came back in our digital format, the school had something nice to say about a rethought Kresge Library Services that transitioned from a collection of physical reference materials to a full suite of information resources and research services. And this is very, very important because the library didn't close, but we became unrecognizable. And then my adage is you don't always choose your path, but you can choose how to respond. What we've done is we've viewed our library not as a physical library, but an ethereal one. And the value proposition there is that we live within the restrictions of virtually no collection space. So everything we do is electronic. We figure out new collaboration mechanisms to serve our community, primarily with the main library. We focus on what we can do versus what we have done. So that's forward thinking. And this is when I used to work in a restaurant. and a waiter told me, forget the dead, take care of the living. We have to do that in our library. And then finally, enjoy the puzzles of life. They're all about, sometimes we have obstacles like a cat knocking pieces off. Those are my presentations. I'm gonna stop for time. I put the slide link in the presentation in the chat, and thank you very much.
So interesting. Thorsten, would you like to share your ideas with us now?
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening from my side as well. I'm very happy to be here, and I will have a little bit different approach to it. The background is that the Leibniz Information Center of Economics and Business Studies is not really affiliated with a university or business school. Our formally name was National Library of Economics and Business Studies, and the ZBW is the abbreviation of the German old name. Nowadays, we only call ourselves Leibniz Information Centers and so on. It's because we are member of the Leibniz Association. It's like Max Planck and Helmholtz, Fraunhofer. It's the Leibniz Association as well. We are funded by the national government and all the federal governments. So our task is a national task. We have to create value for the whole research community in economics and business studies, at least in Germany. So it's a more abstract perspective, but when I listened to my colleagues, Corey and Rajan, I can tell you it's the same for us as well, but it's just that we do, and now with the pandemic, we do not have the students with us, but we haven't had them with us before. We haven't had the researchers with us before. So just some numbers. We are more than 100 years old. We have around 7 million downloads of full text, of digital full text per year, more than 30 national or regional license agreements, transformation contracts with publishers to support open access. We have 270 employees and a budget of 24 million euros per year. So it's we have a national task. So I would like to talk about two areas. It's where we libraries, information centers are very good in supporting it. It's openness and its skills. I would like to focus on these two things. Openness, supporting open science. Open science is something, it started 10 years ago, maybe, or even before, but in 10 years in Germany and in Europe, it was this Science 2.0 movement, and then it was very much concentrated on research data management. In the European Union, it was the European Commission started with EOSC and so on, European Open Science Cloud. And so from the Science 2.0, it was to open science, and now it's established with different ways for us. And it's the question, it's the digital transformation, which boosted very much thanks to the pandemic. So it's really, as Corey already said, it's something really, really helpful, and Rajan as well, in a way. All the bad things are there, and it's horrible, but for the digital transformation, it was a good support to shift the digital mindset everywhere, for the researchers, for the teachers, for the students, for the librarians. And it's nothing we do anew. It's more that we have this, that we support, that we create value by make research output globally visible. So what would I like to say? If we look at open access, it is in Germany and in other countries as well, but in Germany we have it's very federal. So if there is a national, if there is something on a national level, it's quite with universities and the whole academic area, it's something really important and it's not happening so often. So we have the deal project where we have open access transformation contracts with Elsevier, Wiley, and Springer. And we are just concentrating on other publishers very important for the economics and business studies. And the idea is that we transform the important journal, that we don't go and say, oh yeah, green open access is what we have to do. You have to publish an open access, but that we change the environment where the researchers publish. So if they have to publish in the important journals with Elsevier, Thailand, for instance, Sage, wherever, we have to transform the publications into open access just directly with the publishers in a way. So to change the whole system. It's working very slowly. It's working in different countries in a different way. But we librarians, we information center specialists, we information specialists, we have we are doing a lot of work and a tremendous work for that. It's the same with open collaboration. I don't know how it was in your institutions, which part of the business school or the university was the first one who adopted to everything in digital, in the organization of work, in the organization of services within the institution. Mostly it was a library in a way, because they already have been digital, because remote working environments. So the libraries have been the digital ones and supporting open collaboration. And very often due to budget restraints, due to there is space needed for other stuff. So libraries have to reform, have to restructure. Stocks are not there anymore because there is no space for it. It's too expensive. The libraries and information centers are very often those who perfectly adopt to new topics and innovations. Yeah. On the one hand, because we have to, but on the other hand, it's our normal environment to look into it and to meet the requests of our users, of the researchers, and on the other hand, to give them something at hand where they can, which eases their research work. And this is something we can do, just not only because of constraints, but we are the center of everything. We should be the center, and we are the center of trustworthiness and credibility. It's I think the generation of metadata, the structuring of information, the structuring of or the content management, all the traditional library tasks, the helping to get the path to the right publication, the helping to get the path to the right information. This is something where we have the credibility and the trustworthiness that you can rely on us, that we won't give you the completely wrong stuff. So this is an asset we have, and it's an asset. Maybe nobody is outside of the information is really aware of that, but they are all dealing with that, even though maybe we are working in a very boring environment looking for books and stuff, but it's not true, but this is the stereotype people have. And it's our traditional works and tasks which has created this, and we are still building on that and working on that, and we are still keeping this up. And it's because we have highly and diversely skilled staff. So the typical librarian, the typical information specialist is not there anymore, who is doing, like when I look in, it's always this Germanistic view. The academic librarian is looking for the right books from an area, and then is putting it into is indexing it, and then that's all. So the other stuff, like dealing with the users, it didn't happen, at least where that would have been the normal librarians. And now they have to do all this as well, and you have to, maybe you do not have an office in the library anymore. If there is not a library, you are directly at the faculty and so on. So it's all more complex. As I say, it's a Germanistic view, and from huge universities and very, how to say, administrative organizations. But our staff is very highly skilled, and we have to do a lot of, when I look into, we have computer scientists, we have data specialists, data stewardship, we have the information specialists, and so on. So it's all the skills we need for our staff are differing, but we are able to upskill the researchers, the students, and so on. So the keywords are data literacy and information literacy. Data literacy is something, it's a new data, is the new gold for the research. In nearly even in the human sciences, it's the new gold, the digital data, and it's our new task. And as Rajan told, you do it as well. And we can structure it, we can, again, help to find the right data, to publish the data, and so on. And for us, very important, as I said, we are very keen on collaboration and communication. The digital communication and collaboration is something we apply anyway within the information centers, but we give the knowledge away as well with a digital transformation, that we have chats and digital trainings. We moved from trainings in physical to digital trainings even more than before, and then applying new services or new tools, and so the students get the new tools as well. It's very interesting that not all students use all, even though they are digital natives, they are not used to all tools we offer. Yes, that's all. Thank you.
Beulah, would you like to share your ideas with us now?
So Info Central is our space, and the department is Knowledge and Information Services. Just to give you some context around the GIBS mission, because that is the building block for where we are at. So the mission of the school is to significantly improve responsible individual and organizational performance in South Africa and in the broader African environment through high quality business and management education. And of course, that leads to our purpose, where we aim to inspire exceptional performance by making business healthier, and not necessarily the business of the business school, but the business of our clients and inevitably the South African economy. So the strategy that we outlined for the next 3 to 5 years is to develop and use digitally led, applied and transformative thought leadership capabilities to enable us to provide transformative learning as a solution to our ecosystem. It's quite a mouthful, but it has driven quite a lot of new initiatives. So where do we fit in? So the Info Central's strategic intent is to engage, partner, and collaborate through the curation and dissemination of credible and reliable information to support all activities of the school. And I think important for us is the focus on all activities. It's not just small sections, but all activities. So we've set out quite a lot of aspirational goals. The first one being to be the trusted information consultant / partner of the school, especially in this day and age with misinformation. Very important to sustain a dynamic information ecosystem. It's not here's a book, here's a journal article. To facilitate a creative environment to enrich learning and knowledge creation, whether physical or in the virtual environment. The fourth one is to take information literacy a level up, and it's to promote information fluency. And last but not least, to future-proof our contribution through skills development. It's so important to make sure that we have the relevant skills to be able to achieve not just our strategic intent, but also that of the school. So we've got 4 focus areas. We focus on trusted information, thought leadership, content curation, and digital. I'm just going to give an overview of one. Of course, there's of all of these, but there are various layers that we can go into, but we'll sit here until Christmas, and I don't think you will be wanting to do that. So under trusted information, built into DNA of all libraries and librarians throughout the world, we generate, we organize, we evaluate, select, synthesize, disseminate credible and reliable information. That is, I think, in our bones, the day that we are born. We also aim to eliminate barriers to information. As I mentioned, misinformation, disinformation, fake news is all over. Again, taking information literacy to the higher level. And by means of having workshops, customized workshops throughout the year, throughout the months, throughout the weeks, depending on the needs of our students, if they want it in group format, individual face-to-face, being in physical presence, being virtual, we are there for them. And as I mentioned, we customize it according to their needs. Latest trends in business education, very important for us, and I think for Liliana as well. As we've spoken, we're in the Southern Hemisphere. We like to benchmark against our colleagues in the Northern Hemisphere. So we have to look at business education trends and make sure that we can compete with the rest of the world. The next company and industry research is mainly geared towards our corporate education department, where we provide them with insights on a specific company or industry, especially when it comes to client retention, to make sure that we provide them with the correct learning journeys, etc., or when our sales team goes out and they need to go and find new business. And that then, of course, roll over to where we are involved in the proposal development when we actually try and get new clients. And last but not least, accreditation. As Rajen has said, they provided a lot of input for accreditation. The same with us. We provide quite a lot of support for the base room. And I think lucky for us, no business school will get accreditation if they don't have a library. So we've got a big role to play in that regard. Secondly, I will look at thought leadership. So thought leadership is where we focus on research support, all aspects of research support for staff, faculty, as well as our students. Some of the highlights here is academic impact. So we track our faculty's academic impact via Biblio and Altmetrics, and we build an impact index so they can benchmark themselves against that. Publication quality verification. It's quite a complex process. The Department of Higher Education in South Africa requires all research to be published in what they call an accredited journal. And they've got 6 different vendors or lists that they use for these accreditations. And that excludes the journal ranking lists like the CAB's Academic Journal Quality List or the Australian Business Dean Council list. So faculty will reach out to us to give them some guidance and consultation on which journal fits their specific topic the best and is it accredited. Of course, we manage the ORCID membership of the school, and we're responsible to make sure that each faculty and researcher of the school has an ID, very important to us. We also set the reference standard within the school. So it doesn't come from faculty, it comes from my department. And we make sure that everybody is on par, follows the correct standard, and it actually reflects in all our academic documentation. For example, under referencing support, we have to proofread all faculty's course outlines to make sure that they reference properly. Our aim is to make sure that faculty lead by example and students can see, but they've referenced correct, so let we reference correct as well. And of course, plagiarism awareness. Then under content curation, just again, a few highlights. There is our teaching and learning support, making sure faculty and students have the necessary resources to be able to teach, but also to be on their learning journey. Copyright compliance is a big part of what we do on a daily basis to ensure that all our material is legal. And that then rolls into our course material repository, which is housed on Blackboard. We need to make sure that all the material does tick the copyright compliance tick box, but also remove the material after 6 months when the licenses expire. As you all have mentioned, research and research data repository gets maintained and managed by us. We provide personalized current awareness services, document and record management. We often get requests from departments to say, please come and help us create a folder structure so that we can just organize our documentation much better. And then, of course, the traditional library services, circulation, etc. Last but not least, digital. As Torsten has said, we are the early adopters of anything technology. We've done it for many, many years. It's a natural fit for us. And I think it's also a natural fit for us then to promote technology or digital literacy. Of course, we need to make sure that we are on par as well. And we've become, especially in the last year, solution providers. An example is we created a database for our digital department where the database is for digital learning assets that can be reused in online programs throughout. So it's like a plug and play. You select a video here, or you can pull a graphic there, and you can actually add it into a new course or create a new course. And then, of course, we're not just responsible for our own web pages on our website. We also maintain our faculty web page profiles and make sure all of their references, etc., is correct. But we can't do this without commitment. So the team have come up with these 6 phrases, words, and ironically, it does spell ICE in the long run, but it does start with Info Central. So our commitment to the school is to be innovative by being resourceful and creative, to be curious by being knowing and learning, to be collaborative, to be immersive in all things in the school, to communicate, to be clear, be decisive, be courageous, be credible, it's to be informed, and to engage by being accessible, be present, and to be visible. And I thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Willa. So interesting. Thank you. Michael?
I am happy to say that this picture is actually quite accurate because today is the head of the Charles. So it's the first time that we can actually have all of these amazing rowers from around the world compete in the Charles River. And we didn't get to do it last year because of the pandemic, but it actually looks very much like this right now in front of our business school, which is business school library, which is in the background. So our mission and vision at Baker Library is to deliver distinctive information, expertise, and services so that our community excels. I think one of the things we've heard today is that many of us think of community in a very broad way. So it's not just supporting students and faculty, it's supporting the institution itself. So as I discuss some of the examples, I think you'll see that this theme of trying to identify ways in which libraries can add value in multiple ways, being really creatively about leveraging their resources, their staff skills, is something that we're all trying to do, and certainly that's the case at Baker Library as well. So our vision also, you can see kind of in the second sentence, we're also focused on transformation and really thinking how libraries can reimagine their service models, where they can add value. And so, when we think of our faculty, for example, we don't think of presenting our services to them within the context of our own org structure. We're really thinking of it in terms of their research and teaching life cycle. And so this is a handout when we go and sit down with faculty, especially new faculty that join. We really talk about the different areas in which they go through when they're working on a research project, and what are the different value adds that are in these bullet points underneath each one of these. Where can we add value across that whole life cycle? And we do this with their teaching as well. So supporting the research and teaching life cycle is one core approach we have to sustaining our business school. An example of this is early stage research. They could explore one of our tools, which is called the Faculty Acquired Research Datasets tool. So often we'll hear that faculty have heard that another faculty member licensed a particular data set a year ago they were unaware of, so they purchase it again. We've created a database where they can see all of the data that's been purchased by their own colleagues, often through the library. They can search this in a variety of ways, and it really helps to avoid duplication of effort and cost. And then kind of on the other extreme, in terms of research dissemination, we have a website called Working Knowledge, which is an open website that tries to publish the latest information around faculty research for business practitioners. And it's become one of the most popular websites at the school. I think we get around 5 million views a year on this, and it's really only 4 or 5 staff members within the library who manage this, but it has a huge impact on sharing the faculty's research more broadly. Another area I think a number of us have mentioned are advancing the school's priorities. We have a new dean, Shrikant Datar, who has articulated a number of different ambitions for the school, but also some engines and how we're going to get there. So advancing the future of the MBA and reimagining that. Research dissemination, I already mentioned, is one of them. Rethinking and reimagining capitalism and how that should be formulated to lift all boats globally is another area he'd like to focus on. Diversity, equity and inclusion, and digital transformation. And one area in which we've helped with in this area is a tool called the Diversity Case Tracker. And essentially, this allows faculty and administrators to see all of the cases where there is a protagonist of color as the main person in the case that's being written about, that's being studied. There's a big effort at Harvard Business School to diversify our student body, diversify our faculty, but we also want to diversify the materials in the curriculum that they study. And so this is a tool that helps us to kind of track business school cases that are being written, making sure that that we understand who's writing what, which protagonists of color are being written about and have been identified, and that's an internal resource for the school. Another one is contributing to revenue generation, and we do this in a number of ways. I mentioned before that tool that allows faculty not to duplicate effort by joining a license or using a license that already exists for a research data set. But we also sell information products that the library has created. We have a fee for research services for our alumni. We support revenue generating units who need research and would have to pay for that research if they didn't come to the library. So there is some cost avoidance that we can also help with all of this. And one example of this is a product that we created called a Case Flash Forward. And so one of the things that we heard from our colleagues at Harvard Business Publishing was that many times instructors in preparing to teach a case do a lot of research on what's happened to the case, what's happened to the company and the CEO and protagonists of the company after the case ends. And they spend a lot of time doing this, and some of their students even do this. And we said this could be something where the library could help to do this research, package it up, and it could be sold as part of the case package. And so this is another way in which we're helping with revenue generation at the school. Being an innovation partner is something I think we're all interested in. We've done this recently with our executive education program. We've created this Alexa-based tool that essentially allows program participants to ask all kinds of questions about when's the next assignment due? Can you tell me a little bit about this faculty member? What's their background? what's the latest news at Harvard Business School that I should know about, new activities on the calendar. We programmed all of this into these devices that sit in the living groups of these executives, so outside of the library. And this was a big change for us. And we were kind of excited that this was used multiple times pre-pandemic. And we have to kind of hope to refresh this to move forward. And then, the final thing I'll mention is just serving as the school's own internal research team. This is something where, we manage the school's research data. So we provide metadata, taxonomy services, all of that for the faculty research website. And we tag everything. So all of that is organized. But we also do on-demand research so that, for example, when the dean's office was planning remote learning and remote instruction during the pandemic, we helped to kind of do build a website where they could see what other business schools were doing. So how were they handling these challenges? And we provided kind of a website for them to use, internal website with all of that research. And so I'll say that all of this brings a number of challenges. The first, of course, is opportunity management, how to know what to take on. When you get all of these things in the requests that are bubbling up. Budget and resource constraints are very real, even for Harvard Business School, believe it or not, because when you have many things you're working on, there's always a limited resource when you're trying to go in many directions. Organizational bandwidth. We have many staff who are working on 5, 6, 7 projects at once. So taking on one additional thing often is just not possible. Project management. When you have all of this going on, you have to really have very good project managers, and we don't have enough of those now. That's something that we need to ramp up. We have a few, but not enough. And then I'd say another challenge that's a perennial challenge is just letting faculty administrators know what our existing services and expertise is, because we do contribute in many ways, but many still are not aware of that. So marketing communications is key. And then the opportunities that we see going forward are dipping more into data science and research computing, combining that with what we're currently doing, assisting faculty with new forms of research dissemination, trying to personalize our research and digital literacy in a much more targeted way so that so we know enough about students and faculty to really anticipate their needs and be able to deliver things almost proactively to them so that they don't even have to come. We'll deliver things that are based on their next research topic or what they're studying currently. And data governance is key for us, looking at how we support institutional data needs of our organization. And again, research innovation is just something we continue to do. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Michael. It was great. Great to see all the things you're doing. And now, Nikki, would you like to share your ideas with us?
Yes, I'm Nikki Berger. I'm from Vienna, from Austria. And thanks for inviting me. And I would like to talk a little bit about the impact of the library I'm responsible for our university, for economics and business. And the history is that our school was founded in 1898. So we are more than 120 years old. And I always had in mind, sometimes you are happy if you can stay in a building from the 19th century. But our school, due to the growth in the past, they decided 4 times to move to another place, and 3 times they built for their requirements a new building. And the same happened in 2010, that probably the planning started in 2005, that they said, we have to move to a new area because there was so much growth, and what do we do? And this is our new building. It's 7 buildings, and it is in Vienna, but it is in an area where there is also a green area around. And you see in the background the city, and this white building and this brown building here, this is our university. And as you can imagine, 15 years ago, there was also the question, when you build a new university and the e-resources, the databases have been there, do we really need a library? I think you all remember that times that you have been asked, does a library need space? And happily, our university decided, due to the fact that we have 22,000 students and teaching is important for us, that the students need a place. And what place should we give to the students? That the students feel home, feel a part of the university. And they said, okay, we would like to have some kind of a library, probably a learning center, which should fulfill these requirements. And in the middle of our new campus is now this library and learning center, which look like this. And again, the question was, what are the goals of our school? And during that time, the goals have been international, future-orientated, top quality. And therefore, we tried to find an international architect. This is from Zaha Hadid. We tried that looks like future-orientated. And the people say, okay, that's a spaceship. It is a building or it's more a spaceship, so future-orientated. And yes, it is a top architect, and people, either you like the look and feel or you don't like it because it's architecture. But real architects tell you this is quality architecture. So it transports the quality we would like to achieve. Yeah, this is from the other side. And this is how it looks from inside. However, the library has also a history, a long history. And the people in the library, so the staff, had also a history and different requirements. And as it is pointed out here, most of the librarians, so in the year of 2000 to 2005, it was so, you have to do a good job and try to do nothing wrong. Follow the rules, then everything is okay. And we said, okay, now we have the chance to get this building for the library. And we had the chance to create a learning center, a space for the students. So we will get probably a much more important part at the university. And we said, we will change also the things we do, how we do it, and how we are organized. And we said, we would like to do an impact to this university. We would like that they feel that the library is a value for them. And we said, we would not like to be administrators. We would like to be designer of services, and we would like to design and influence what's going on in our university. So if you go to your management and tell them that's your plan, they say, okay, Nikki, you are nice, and do your job and everything is okay. So, and what we did is that we developed a strategic plan in 2014, and we called it the strategic plan 2018. And I can tell you, it has taken us some years to come from left to right, to really impact us and so on. And what have we done? We said, what is important at university? Yes, the students has to learn. Therefore, we provide them with a good learning environment, with study zones where they can study. Okay, the university, the students, but especially our researchers, they need academic medias and data. We care about this. The third strategic domain for us was that information skills are very important, because if you have if you find the right informations, if you can rate about the value of the information, if you have information literature, if you can divide between fake news and real news, all this set of things, if you can do text mining and so on, is very important. And the people do not only need it for their study time, they need it also when they go into a job. And we have researchers, and we would like to support our researchers as much as we can, from open access to driving a repositorium and so on and so on. So that's what our strategic domain. And after we worked very hard at this, and after I think 5 years, our responsible vice rector said to us, okay, now we see the university library is really a strategical, vital part of our university. And the learning center and the service portfolio, what they do, is really central to our infrastructure. And they started again investing in us. And we had the opportunity to invest more in our furniture, invest especially in our library medias, in datas. We had the opportunity to start with digital services and so on. So we could continue developing this. And an example here is in 2013, we had a literature budget from a little bit over 2 million. And in 2022, we have a budget of 3.7 million euros. So we fairly doubled this in not 9 years. And I can tell you from this is 1.5 million more, and half of them goes back to researchers' need for specific data and so. And this development got us that it is really a competitive advantage by the recruitment of professors that we can give them research data they require. And the school recognized this, and so it was a good development. And because, yeah, I will jump here. A second development, what I always had in mind was that I talked with my staff, and we did a lot of developments, and not, let me say, more social skills, how to work. And what is their opinion, what's to work? And service-orientated, yes, matter of course. But I tried to recruit people who are engaged to their jobs, because if they're engaged, the staff in our university, the professors, the teachers, the students, they feel, ooh, that's ambitious people. And there is a completely different drive if you between administrators or people who are engaged to their job. And I have innovation drivers. So 2 times we decided to implement at first time new digital projects in the Austrian university libraries. And we wanted not only to be open for change, I said I would like to have people who are change drivers, who really say, I would like to change this because this is better for our service, this is better for our university. And cooperative workers, what is this? It's not easy, I have to say, if you have to cooperate, because in the end, you are also competitor. So the challenge is, how do you cooperate with a good result with competitors within the university and competitors outside the university? And you need also different skills to do that. Yes, international networkers, this is what you do here in CLADEA, and I can only congratulate you, because we can really learn on a worldwide basis from the things we do. And I also support my people, not only in how to work, I support them that, for example, they do a little teaching, that do a little bit publishing, that they can develop things, because if they work very close on the side, how researchers and teachers work, they know how their work is, and they recognize much better what they do. Okay, also very important, once we got the feedback, so we did a big survey under our students, and the students told us there is one department at university where we feel treated as human beings. At all utmost, if we admit to the university, if we go to examinations, we have to line in, we have to wait, we have to be very patient and so on. But when we go to the library, we feel we are human beings. And this was a nice feedback. And it was so important that you treat students not as you have to line in, you have to treat them as valued people. Yeah. And this is in our learning center, how the people look, how they feel, and we are happy because they join us, they come, they learn. I always wonder why so many people sit here, but they enjoy sitting here and do their learning job. Okay, I go over these things. And yes, so again, I think with what we do as a library and how we do it, we support that students pass their examinations. We support that the students feel well at home. And we try with several things. So we teach information literature, we teach how to research and so on, that they can get additional skills they need in the jobs in their life. And I said, in the recruitment for professors, they really say, when we can get these library resources at the VU, yes, this is really nice, and we would like to come. That's not the only reason. They only look about also on their salary and so on. But this is one part that it's really. And I think Thorsten said this. We in the library, I think that's ages ago, but we have been the first probably who had the internet, and we have been the first working with a library management system, and we are really the strong supporters of digitalization. And yes, so I think we really make in our school, due to the work and students, ambitious people, a strong impact for the success of our school. And if you're interested in our strategic plan, it's on the internet, it's in English available, so feel free to download it and you can read it.